So what do you think?
You're our people, and if not, that's okay too.
All right, well, I'm going to start you off with my softball question that I start everything off with. And tell us a little bit about the process of making this film and some of the challenges you had to overcome.
Sure, yeah. So I'm Phillip Cordell. Okay, gotcha. And I co-wrote the film, and then I played the clones, and I produced it with my buddies in Nashville. And some, I mean, first of all, let me just tell you, I love sci-fi because we can slide, you know, the movie, we tried to make it work on a couple levels, right? There's like the fun, silly, you know, pink sauce and acid bombs and all the silliness, but just underneath, you know, we're trying to say some stuff about the commodification of the workforce and how the media is pitting us all against each other. You know, so I love sci-fi because you can kind of play with all that in the same bucket, and some people pick up on some of it, and some people pick up on other aspects. But challenges to getting the movie made were, you know, it's expensive to make a movie, you know, and making sure, I mean, we committed to working 10-hour days. We hired professionals, you know, we work in TV and film professionally. And so we committed to working 10-hour days so we could all go home and see our families and be with our kids. And yeah, so that was a challenge that I think made for a happier crew, which I hope showed up on screen.
And how, you said you hired professionals. What was that process like? Like you were saying before,
Yeah.
I really do love that new television show, Animal Control. So when I saw Robbie,
Yeah.
Talk about what it was like to work with.
Sure, yeah. So I mean, the cool thing about being an independent producer is you can reach out to any agent for any actor and send them an offer. And we got some very impressive no's, guys. I mean, you would be shocked at the level of actors that turned us down. I was impressed. I couldn't believe they even responded, you know? But so that's kind of the deal. And actually, I'd reached out looking for a specific actor, and their agent said, well, you know, that person's not available, but Robbie just moved to Nashville. We're out in Nashville, Tennessee, and it worked out because we also qualified for the Tennessee Entertainment Commission's grant for qualified Tennessee expenses. So any money we spent in our state, we got 25% of back. So, you know, what we did, what's called stunt casting. Many of you have probably heard that term, but that's where you pay one or two people a lot more than everybody else to come out for a day or half a day or however long they have. And so we had both Ravi Patel and Steve Byrne, who's a comedian, and both of them have had their own TV shows at different times. And yeah, man, so we just sent out some offers, and that's how we went about the casting process. And then for the rest of the crew, the rest of the cast, we conducted our own casting process. Again, if you're a filmmaker and you think, oh, I gotta hire a casting director, it's gonna be a huge pain in the butt, that's nice to do if you have the money for it. We did not. And so, you know, you reach out to the agents in your area and you send them the breakdowns and the sides, and once you see those tapes start coming in, it's cool because it really makes the project feel real. And it's like, oh, holy cow, people want to be in our movie.
All right, well, this feels like the type of film that would prompt a bunch of questions. Anybody else in the audience have a question they wanted to ask? Come on, somebody must have a question.
Jill.
Can you talk about the props, because there seem to be a lot of props.
Yeah.
They're very impressive.
Cool.
On camera, so what?
That's great to hear. So our strategic advantage is that my best friend, who I wrote the movie with, directed this, and he is a prop master by trade. And so it was like, what can we do to start off kind of, you know, a little further down the street? And he was like, well, I know I can start making props for this 6 months in advance. And he kind of had, you know, he's like, I'd love to make this acid grenade. I'd love to make, you know, that the BFG, we call it, that big backpack gun. That's just a lawn sprayer, you know, that he tricked out with some lights. And so, I mean, there's a lot of really great indie hacks, you know, that we pulled off. And one of the sayings I heard him bring to set from the props world is like, it doesn't have to be the thing, it just has to look like the thing on camera. You know, I mean, we're conducting magic, you know, just sleight of hand, try, you know, one thing's supposed to look like something else, and hopefully we pulled that off. Yeah, great question, thank you. Yes, sir?
Talk about the cop head a little bit.
Sure. Yeah, so the cop head, I mean, we almost phoned it in and said, you know, we'll just grab something from Home Depot or a potted plant or something, and then we had this realization, like, this could be our Boba Fett moment or our Squid moment. You know, seriously, how can we create something that could stand on its own and just silly little helmet with the mustache and the aviators. I mean, it's evocative. And when I wear the costume out in public, people stop and ask questions. And so we sent the completed script to a friend of ours who's a comic artist and said, hey, can you send over a few options? And he sent over 2 or 3, and we kind of honed in on this one, and then we sent it to a modeler, a 3D printer modeler. We're like, can you guys make this? And they said, yeah, we'll model it up for you. And it's 2 pieces. It's the cap and then the kind of the bell shape, and they fit on top of each other. And so we made those, and we finished those out ourselves with the little lens. And yeah. And we started the film, we had ordered 20 helmets, but when we started principal, we had 4. And so any of those shots where you've got 12 to 16 clone comps, those are composition shots. You know, so we lock off the camera and then comp in, mask out those areas. Yeah. Yes, sir?
Just out of interest, are you a fan of RoboCop?
Oh, dude, I'm so glad you asked. Yeah, like, Paul Verhoeven is all over the film. You know, our influences are undeniable. Yes, so we talked a lot about RoboCop and Starship Troopers and movies that we loved growing up. You know, and again, how can you try to say something and also have a lot of fun doing it? You know, we're not trying to beat people over the head with a message, you know, of some big important thing, but it's just kind of like, there's some weird stuff going on, and I think as filmmakers, it's our duty to kind of point at that and be like, okay, we're doing this? I guess this is it, you know? I mean, if we keep phoning in everything, it's just a matter of time before the replicants take all our jobs. Great question, and thank you for noticing that. Yes, sir?
Was that all script, or was there some ad-libbing in there?
There was, that was fairly tightly scripted, but Brick, the gentleman who played Brick, he ad-libbed a lot of his fun lines, gassed up like Talladega, you know, I think it was a ninja, an HVAC technician, you know, a lot of those he ad-libbed, and then I got to ad-lib quite a bit of my stuff as well. I mean, again, for me,
You're good at it.
well, thanks, man. Thank you. I appreciate that. And I feel like the actors brought so much heart and really heavy, like, stellar performances, and I got to just come and be silly and be myself and have fun and try to put that up on screen.
I only came in for the end, but tell me a little bit about that dance scene.
The dance scene? I mean, that didn't come from here. That came from here. That was all talk. The dance scene. I had some items, so this tune, we used all Nashville-based musicians, and I just loved this song called Miss Prince. And I had a couple ideas, and I sent them to a choreographer. Never met the dude. He was like, yeah, send me a video. And so I sent him a video, and then a day later, he sent me back these amazing dance moves, and I sent them to the guy playing Kinder, and we learned them on our own, and then on the day came together and just kind of worked it out. Yeah, and it was a blast. I mean, it was probably the most fun I had on set.
I've heard of Nashville before for music and musicians.
Yeah.
I hadn't heard of a film scene there. So can you tell us a bit about the film scene and what's that?
Yeah, absolutely. It's a very tight-knit, small community. I mean, you're right, most of the focus is on our music community. And so the film scene has never gotten a lot of shine, which is why we see a massive opportunity to plant a flag and we're the ones making the weird stuff, you know? If you're into this, we're your group. So yeah, you're absolutely right. Nashville does not historically get a lot of recognition as a film city, but there are ourselves and a few other groups of filmmakers that are working hard to change that perception.
Okay, weird things.
Yeah.
The chat, right? That was
Yes.
on there. Is there any place we can go and actually catch up? And read
I
all
mean,
that?
well.
Or did you write that? Or
We did. We wrote that. All the ticker ads, and really the whole movie. We had 4 of us: myself, the director, the cinematographer Corey, who was supposed to be here with me tonight, but last minute missed his plane, and then the VFX supervisor, and all of us worked for free and poured in countless hours, and so that he built out that whole world, and he'd never done VFX. He had an Adobe background as a graphic designer, so worked in Illustrator and Photoshop, and we were like, there's this thing called After Effects. And we talked to a couple of professionals, and they were like, guys, you can do this. It's going to take you a lot of time, and the stuff you do at the end of the project is going to look way better than the stuff you did at the beginning, and that's okay. And so we saw that as an opportunity to let people really spread their wings, and most of the department heads, our head costumer was a costume assistant. We're trying to give everybody an opportunity to step up into the positions. and get that credit that they always wanted to get. But to answer your question about the chat, the movie just released. So we're so grateful that Boston Sci-Fi had us out here for this. Our movie did just come out. It's available on Apple TV and Amazon and Fandango at home and pretty much everywhere. Yeah, we're stoked. It's crazy. If you liked the movie a lot, hop on Rotten Tomatoes, leave us a review. If you didn't like it, don't even worry about it. We do have a merch site. You can find us at nefaricorp.com. Yeah, we're game in the system. Also, clonecopsmovie.com. But yeah, we're leaning into it.
Do you make movies only, or do you also act? Why are you more an actor or a filmmaker? Because you're very talented and very funny.
Thank you. I do.
Where do you want to go?
Well, I want to be a writer, producer, and actor. You know, here's why we made the movie, because nobody's going to make your thing for you, right? Is the realization that we had. We're like, if you've got, I can have the best script in the world, and there is a pipeline, but it's just there's so many people clawing to get their films into this pipeline to get something made. And so I hope to be writing and making movies for the rest of my life. But this is the first one we've made, and I have been acting since I was younger, and have repped it as an actor. Yeah. Sir.
So amongst the criminals, you have so many of the great archetypes. You have the muscle, you have the hacker, you have the leader, and you have the assassin.
Yeah.
Were there any that you wish you could have included? Were there any that you left on the cutting room floor?
Oh, that's a great question. No, I mean, you're right about the archetypes, and we describe it as a D&D campaign. You know, we've got, I mean, seriously, we premiere our film at Gen Con, which is North America's largest tabletop gaming convention in Indianapolis. Yep. And they happen to have a film fest, and so we went and found our people out there. But are there any other archetypes? We've got a couple ideas for hyping up some of the clones, but no, I mean, by and large, you're absolutely right. We hit on those we got each stereotypical big, you know, every member of the gang. So, great question, man. Thanks. Anybody else? Is that our time? Yeah.
Well, we got about 10 minutes before the next round, so we can get one or two more in.
And seriously, open book on any aspect of any of it, guys. I mean, to me, I learned by asking people stuff. Yeah. Yes, ma'am.
What's your next project?
Well, we hope Clone Cops 2. For real. So, you know, there's this world where we're like, well, we're going to put our movie out, and then are we going to start getting meetings? You know, when people start inviting us to general meeting, you know, I mean, there's a way that you can get into the biz. And so we've got a handful of ideas that are pitch ready. We've got a couple scripts that are ready. And then we've got parts 2 and 3 of this. And in the meantime, we're rolling this out as a podcast right now, kind of a behind the scenes thing. So just trying to build out this IP. That reminds me, I've got swag bags with limited edition comic books and buttons and pins for anybody that would like one after this. So the next project, we think and hope will probably be in the Clone Cops world. But, you know, I hate to say it's dependent on how this goes, but that's what it feels like. It feels like we're just still kind of waiting. Yes, Christine?
I think you can do a lot of the audience reaction from just watching your own movie, but yeah, there's just so many different things you brought in that are great, and a lot of modern and all sorts of, you know, very relevant things. So,
Yeah, thanks, man.
You know, it's funny, we're all trying to.
Yeah. Thank you. And you're right. I mean, people ask, like, what year is it set in? It's like, well, we always describe it as an alternate future, or the future of 1999. You know, like the future we thought of when we were kids. That's your hand up top.
There was one more back there. Yeah.
Yes, sir.
It sounds like from, you know, the podcast and the swag tags and, you know, you put a lot of thought and effort and going in different directions with the tentacles of marketing and getting the word out and, you know, all that kind of stuff. But were you involved, do you have like a marketing person you're working with, or is that all your?
Pretty much all us. I mean, yeah, we have really leaned into the, like, nobody's going to care about our project as much as we do. And so we've worked with some different people on some different things, and we did hire a fantastic indie publicist who's helped us get some reviews rolling early on, helped us get on some podcasts and get some interviews going. But the marketing, I mean, so many times as filmmakers, we just want to make the movie and move on to the next thing, and we don't want to have to be marketers. And that's kind of how I feel, but the reality is if I ever want to get to do this again, I kind of have to give it everything I can think of and then some. So that's kind of been our mantra, is like, what have we not done that we could do? preferably that's free, that we can just kind of do and push forward ourselves. So that's why we're putting out so much additional collateral, and again, just trying to build this world out in a meaningful way so that people want to see more of it.
Well, thank you very much.
Yeah, thanks for having me.